Welcome to the podcast for real-life heroines. Let's embark on a journey that unveils the extraordinary stories of everyday women who redefine what it means to be a heroine or hero. Life is a tapestry of inspiration and magic, and today's episode is no exception. Here's your host, Susanna Liller.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so very much for sharing your time with me and my guest on the podcast. Welcome, Ellen Webster. Thank you for being with me.
Susanna, I'm so privileged to be here.
Well, we're going to have a great discussion, and everybody, you are in for a treat. We have so many things to talk about. I've made a list, but let me start first. Who is Ellen Webster? And this is such a story. It's such a heroine's journey story. And oh, before I even go there, so when I started talking with Ellen and we were putting this loose framework to what we were going to talk about, she said, Susanna, share with me, because she cares about the importance of words, and I do too. She said, share with me the definition, your definition of a heroine. So I took my definition from my book, You Are a Heroine. A heroine is a woman who dares to be herself, has stuck out her neck, and has taken risks, big and small. She is a woman who is willing to leap and stretch herself, coming out of her comfort zone more than once on a regular basis, to try new things, to challenge herself, to do what she has to do, even if it scares her, even if it scares her a lot. So, heroines, Ellen
Mm.
Webster. Okay, so this story, 11 years ago, Ellen started handwriting thank you notes. At the time, she was 56 years old, living with oodles of chaos, yet optimistic that she could reach her improbable goal of sending 10,000 thank you notes. When the 10,000th card was within sight, media attention came her way. And she said to me, Susanna, you can't buy this kind of attention. And and it was a recorded segment for Good Morning America, inclusion in the Today Show, online digest, an interview with the U.S. Postal Service employee newsletter, and being contacted by the Kelly Clarkson Show. She has a keynote called What Lights Your Heart? The Small Acts That Change Everything. And she blends the science of HeartMath with the lived wisdom of her I see you, I appreciate you, you matter practice. And she guides audiences to recognize the quiet signals of alignment, the micro moments of care, appreciation, and ease that light us up and ripple out. I'm going to start there, Ellen. I have a list of things I want to talk about, how things went viral for you when you wrote those notes, and about the power of an idea having to do with this book, A Simple Act of Gratitude,
Mhm.
and the power of one person really noticing, and helping you come out, as you say, of the shadows, about aging and doing it buoyantly. So we have so many things, but what? Tell me, talking about words, and I'm reading this. Your wisdom, the wisdom of your lived practice. I see you. I appreciate you. You matter. What is that?
So as I started writing these notes, I needed a framework to consider how to do them. And at first they were, the typical notes. Thank you for either something or something you've done for me.
Mhm.
And then they became looking toward the past and who have been all these people that have lit up my life that I just haven't paused long enough to thank them. And the list was long, so I started writing those. And eventually I began to see that the pattern that was naturally forming was to include in each one of those letters a kind of a hidden message of I see you, I appreciate you. You matter. And those come directly from the needs that are identified in nonviolent communication. And those are very primary needs to be seen, to
Mm.
matter, to be appreciated. So I would write those into my notes without stating that. Although a lot of the notes do end with what you do matters, because that is what I believe, is that everything I observe, whether it's someone helping me across the street with packages, or whether it's an author that I will never meet, but I wanted them to know that their work has touched me,
Right.
all have that framework in it. And on the flip side, I identify those people that I want to write to by seeing what lifts me, what expands me, and what connects me.
So,
So I'm on the prowl, Susanna.
so you really think about them and you remember your connection with them and what happened and how they impacted you.
If
You
it's if it's somebody I've met, yes.
really,
If it's somebody I admire from a distance, then it takes on a different tone, but it's still like, wow, I really see what you're doing out there, and I really appreciate it.
so
Yeah.
did you did you write thank you notes when you were little?
Oh, yes.
Did your mother make you like
I
my mother made me?
Yeah, I grew up an hour north of Bangor in Maine, in central Maine, Lincoln. My mother was the home ec teacher there while those things were still a thing. And it was an obligation, it was a duty, it was expected that if you received anything, you turned around and you wrote a note. I remember being at Girl Scout camp and getting like bags of M&Ms from friends' parents, and I had to come home and write notes. So there was a little bit of a drudgery in
Yeah,
it.
same for me.
Yeah,
And yeah, I really kind of rebelled against it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna move to a different, very related topic because I
Okay.
think so much of what you do is led by your heart. And I wonder if you could talk about that a bit and maybe share what heart math is with people.
Mm, yeah, that would be a pleasure. Um, when I was newly married to my husband, who I we're about to celebrate our 20th anniversary. Um,
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. Let's say it's gone much more swiftly than 10 years of my first marriage ever went. Um, Yeah, so I was struggling in the second or third year of this marriage, not with the marriage, but I have two children, and one of them was born with a medical condition that required incredibly rare surgery. He had the left half of his brain removed entirely, and so even though one might think, oh, well, you've had a lot of compassion thrown your way, in fact, I was very at odds with how we managed that with what was then my husband and then became my former husband. So there were 5 trials. I had to go to court every time I had a request to take my children to therapy, to put my son in a private school where he could really really take advantage of different methods of education. And I will say that, just fast forward for a second so nobody thinks that that Byron's my son, still lives with me or anything. He graduated from the University of Arizona and he
Uh,
works in sports marketing at the University of Delaware. So, a
Amazing.
really great outcome. But at the time, there was all this other struggle going on. My daughter was graduating. She was kind of, as often happens with the healthy sibling, probably did not get all the attention that her younger brother got. And my new husband was diagnosed with cancer.
Ah,
So all of this was converging when I picked up John Kralick's book. Um,
simple act of gratitude, which was
yeah, yeah,
inspiration. Yeah,
yeah,
just like his life, he was going through a terrible crisis.
he
And
was.
yeah, so it spoke to you.
It spoke to me, and I am rereading it right now. And I just wrote to him. He came to visit. My 10,000th note was to him.
Wow.
So I wrote him a note and I said, okay, my intentions, as these notes have been in my intentions, my intention is to see you in person, to throw my arms open and to say thank you.
Mm.
And a couple of weeks later, I got a note from him saying, are you available for lunch? My daughter and I would like to come over to Hoboken. And I got that hug. And he just has retired from almost 20 years of being a judge in California. And he's going to go back and maybe even write a sequel to this.
Wow, that
So,
would be great. Yeah.
yeah, all this angst that was going on for him, yes, I could feel it in my own life in various ways. Yeah.
And then, so, but your heart led you
Oh, yes.
know that this
Yeah.
first marriage was not where you needed to be. And the reason why I come back to that, and we can just touch on it briefly, is because often the heroine's journey, so many women I've talked to, it was, and this is my life too, a hard ending like a divorce kind of kicked them off on this journey. And I shared with you that that really started my spiritual
Mm.
journey when I was able to leave that unhappy marriage. And you said similarly. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So in Lincoln, there was a man named Hen Libby who was could read the future, could read the past. So I grew up with everyone going to Hen Libby to kind of get some spiritual guidance, one might say. He was a school janitor and he would never take money. He would only take chocolate or home baked goods. So I kind of had this positive, kind of funny thing that I took with me into my adulthood. Um, but I really needed something huge at this juncture in my life because Byron was very sick. And there were years when he had 25 appointments a month. So
mm,
I was scheduling and driving and, every bit of that. When my husband Ed and I moved to California with the children after going to court to be allowed to move, um, I stumbled into a Unity church where there was a sign that said B-E, peace. And I thought, I got a babysitter. I said to my husband, I need some relief. So I'm going to go take this course because in my mind, they were going to tell me things like the UN knows, like what is peacekeeping? So it was all external, all out here,
mm,
right?
mhm,
But what I found out there was that the motto of I'll get to HeartMath, but this class called the Connection Practice, the motto of it was, before directing the lightning in the sky, we must first harness the storms in our own hearts. And I was blown away because who wants to do that?
it's so much easier going external, right?
Yes, tell
Yeah.
me how to, solve the Middle East problems. But don't ask me to look inside at anything that might be troubling. So the initiation was there. I then went to really learn about HeartMath, which is one of the components of the connection practice. And HeartMath has been around for about 30 years. It's both a profit and a nonprofit company, but they do research on how we live optimal lives. And the HeartMath tools actually are for stress reduction and all of this, but on a deeper level, they connect us to this, what is this fulcrum that everything in our life rotates around our emotions and how we respond to them, but we seldom have any of the tools to know how to manage that. That's what got kick-started at that juncture,
Mhm.
which was prior to starting the notes. So I came in knowing that, I have the power to change my emotions. And if I start looking outward,
Right.
I know my emotions are going to change. So it gave me the lens to see the world through the eyes of beauty,
Yeah.
which I really needed.
Right. Which is all there for us to see if we just are aware
Oh, yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what this reminds me of, I haven't shared with people yet that you have this rich background and experience of being a trainer, being a coach, working with clients like major state universities. And, so all of that you have been helping people for a long time. Yeah. And this note writing finding this way to connect is relatively new. And just let me ask you, this all this media attention. So how did you handle that? Speaking of emotions, how did that land on you?
Well, Susanna, this is how it landed initially. I started giggling because I'm an introvert,
Yeah.
and this project has been very private. It's been, it's sort of think of detectives out there looking for evidence. So I go around looking for evidence of goodness in the world. And suddenly I had this work recognized as something other than a very private, introverted pleasure I was taking in what I was doing. And I began to see that, not to put too fine a point on it, but wow, maybe I have something to share.
Mhm.
Maybe, I need to do my own work and say, yes, I have this inability to maybe be out in the world in an extroverted way. That's not where I get my energy at all. And yet, when I started doing my own heart work, the answer was the screaming yes.
Mm,
Yes.
mm,
What else have you been building up to but sharing this?
yeah.
So I got the giggles, but then I also said a quick yes. Yeah.
Talk about the woman who really was your first encourager to got you to, and to me, this is when you take a leap. I mean, that was a leap to say, okay, I'm going to go with this
Yeah.
heroine's journey leap. So talk about how that happened. You went to a newsletter writing conference.
Yeah. So in truth, I had tried to share this with friends, with family, and my children have been very supportive of it. My husband has been very supportive of it. It's a line item on our budget. Um, but friends I would find would kind of say, "Oh, isn't that nice, dear? Maybe you need to get a job." So I stopped talking about it, and I just kept it where I thought it belonged, which is very private. So I went to a newsletter conference, a big bro conference where everyone's talking about monetizing every aspect of a newsletter. And on the stage was a woman from where I live in Hoboken, New Jersey, who does an online newsletter. And I tried to connect with her afterwards just to say, before I moved to Hoboken, I used the services that were provided in your newsletter to kind of get to know the town. And we ended up having a conversation. And I'm now writing for this online newsletter, but she said, when I said, she said, tell me a little bit about yourself. And emboldened by a woman who was helping me with my newsletter to talk about this, I said, well, yes, I have a background in writing. I have a master's in journalism. But my real heart project is these silly little notes that I send out. And she said, no, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. That's a story we'd like to cover.
Yeah.
So once this little online newsletter printed this story, which wasn't based on an interview, I just sent them some facts. That's when the national media started showing up
Mm, yeah. So
because
it,
they're on the prowl all the time too.
yeah, so she really gave you the push you needed to go with this and open up. Yeah.
And I'd say the confidence that, my life is not defined by bold acts of confidence at all. So here was somebody kind of putting their arm around my shoulder and saying, you know, I think, I think you might be onto something here. I think
Yeah.
the world is calling for something like this right now.
Mhm.
Hmm,
Yeah.
what did you think about it?
Right. And she kind of gave you what you give to people. She noticed you matter, what you say matters, what you're doing
Yes.
matter. And of course it does. I mean, people who think about thank you notes, well, most people don't write them anymore. If they write them, it's a text, right? With
Yeah.
emoji and that's it. But to really take the time, that kind of time to pay attention and to write, and you wrote them longhand.
Yeah. They're all, with the exception of maybe 10 of them, they're all longhand. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like
she,
when I wrote to the CEO of Southwest, I typed it.
CEO of Southwest Airlines.
hmm
And did you get a response?
I did not. I told him I thought he should take his employee at LaGuardia Airport out to lunch because, wow, did he know that this guy who was on baggage duty at 11:30 at night reassured me that
Yeah.
my bag would be delivered to me the next day. He reassured me, he gave me his personal cell number, and I thought his boss should know about it.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's so many of those acts of kindness that go totally
Yeah.
unspoken about, unthanked. Yeah. Well, all right. So now I'm shifting again to aging.
All right.
As you speak a lot about aging, you talk about aging, living buoyantly. And then part of that I'm in awe of because you dive and you were just in Bonaire and you told me that, okay, so number one, I wouldn't be diving. Number two, you told me, yeah, I'm the kind of person that goes to places like that and likes to spend a lot of time reading a book on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you said that your tube came undone and you're down in the water and so okay, so
Oh,
please talk
yeah.
about how aging buoyantly and diving, what's your whole thinking about that? That's a
Well, I did my first dive in 1985
okay.
in Belize, and it was like a little 30-minute, 30 feet dive, and I thought I had died and gone to heaven. It impacted me that strongly. It took me a few years to get certified because I was in college and I couldn't afford it. But when I did, I started doing these dives, and then there was a long stretch when I didn't, when Byron was sick and I was raising children and going to court and all this. Isn't it just wasn't money or time to do it,
Mm.
as is often the case when you're raising children and even in a stable relationship. But then I came back to it when I started dating Ed. I said, "Do you have any interest in diving?" So he went through the whole diving course with me, with a man that is now both a friend, a mentor, a mensch. And couple of years ago, I think it's 2.5 years ago now, I was in Bonaire trying to get reacclimated to the water, wanting to just be there underwater. Takes a lot of There's a lot of gizmo stuff going on, and
Yeah.
my wetsuit didn't fit. I had gained weight. I had a hose that broke underwater. And I was just standing on the dock with my husband's arms around me, just bawling, saying, I'm going to end up in a rocking chair. I'm going to end up rocking the rest of the time I have here on this planet away. And I said, and I kind of heard myself say that. So that's kind of like this big admission of where I am. And then I was also able to say in a few breaths later, let me take this to the heart and see what if maybe this is a call to action. So I spent a lot of time really focused on how I was feeling and what needs were not being met in this moment in my life. So a need for self-compassion was not being met, a need for confidence, for empowerment, for, personal expression. I get to express myself underwater with these wonderful creatures. And the messages that I got back from my heart were, yes, indeed, you do have a choice. And if you go the path of least resistance, that will be okay because the heart doesn't judge. That
Yeah.
will be okay.
Yeah.
If you go this other path, you're going to have to commit to coming back diving because it's going to keep you where you want to be, which is fresh and engaged and connected with this bigger world. So I kind of based my website on this experience. The company is called Age Buoyantly, and it really is about helping women over 60 to recognize that, even though we're postmenopausal, and people think of us as obsolete or we feel forgotten, that's up to us.
Yeah.
We
Right.
have choices. We have so many choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when things ache and hurt, we have choices.
As they do, yeah.
Yeah.
So just quick, what's a experience that you had underwater that just stands out for you in the moment that you could share?
Uh, my last dive of this last trip was on a place called the Salt Pier. So they mine salt on this little island of Bonaire. It was a former slave state, and um, so to get under the pier, it's just so much life there. And what a few of us got to witness were two octopuses playing, kind
Oh,
of chasing each other like this, back and forth and all around. And then one would land on a rock and it would take the shape and look of a rock. And then it would be swimming in sand and it would have the whiteness of the sand as the color. They're chameleons, and it was magnificent.
I bet. That sounds
Yeah.
absolutely magical. I love
Yeah.
octopuses, or is it
Yeah.
octopi?
Octopuses.
So that's great. What a great story. And so you're really, I think, telling us, yes, we're aging, but to keep finding those things that inspire us and excite us um and that
Connect us.
connect us, and that gives us the buoyancy that we
Yeah.
need to keep going.
Yeah.
But again,
But
it's not however we choose, we have a choice. And so if we want to be in the rocking chair, if we want to be reading a book, because I never get a chance to read a book
yeah.
on the beach,
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah,
What lights you up is the key question. And being able to practice over and over and over, recognizing those moments when you are lit up
right.
so that you can find more of them. You
Right.
just kind of collect them, but you don't, it just doesn't have to be random. They can be, once you know what lights you up, you strategize in your life to get more of those moments.
Yeah. Knowing what lights you up,
Yeah.
definitely.
And
Okay.
it's what lights up your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you and I, when we were talking about listening to your heart and how you that's your practice in life. And I said, well, that would also, some people would call that listening to your intuition or listening to your quiet, still inner voice, or some people would call that listening to God or the universe. And you said, whatever you want to call it, it's that inner
Yeah. I
soul.
think the only litmus I would do on any of those are, it's not about giving the power of this lighting up to something outside of ourselves. It is internal and it is omnipresent. And if you choose to call it another vocabulary word, that's fine, but it is not about something outside of us gifting us with this awareness. It is right here. It's totally accessible.
Yeah, which the benefit of calling it the heart is, yeah, it's the heart. We have one. Yeah, that's, yes. And
Yeah.
you have to, don't you agree that you have to contact that source regularly just to get used to hearing it, be in a place. And I'm sure underwater you hear it a lot.
I am never closer to that thing which I experience as unity than
Mm,
than underwater.
yeah, yeah,
Um, the interconnection of everything.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the reason to practice this is because the head, oh God bless it, the head really wants to help out with, all the things on that worry side of the emotional list, worry and anger and frustration and fear and wringing our hands. I mean, this is all coming from the head. This is not heart talk.
Right, right. And the head thinks it knows all the answers. And yeah, yeah. Well, Ellen, what haven't we talked about that you wanted to be sure, that we wanted to be sure we mentioned?
I think we have covered a range of things. If I may just say, I think the work that you're doing is a gift of the heart. I'm sure it's an act of the heart. And I just, anything that contributes to what you're doing. And in a world where there is so much attention put on competition and all of this, it's just a balm to be with a woman or other women who see this as a collaborative world.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you might be able to tell that this is what lights me up.
Yes.
I love it. I love meeting people like you. And I think we should share, Ellen, that you mentioned that you lived in Maine and in Lincoln. I've been in Lincoln, and we actually met right before I seriously connected with my husband. And then I found out that you two had dated a bit. So that was all really interesting because I knew your sister and then found out who you were, and then these letters, and life connects us in miraculous ways. And that's something I'm grateful for sure.
I know we just keep intersecting with
I
these
know.
wonderful
I know.
spirits, right?
We do. So
Yeah.
here's the hardest question of this
Okay.
whole call. Of everything we've talked about, everybody's listening. They're trying to, take it all in, but they're busy and they're going to go about their lives soon. There's something, though, that you, I'm sure, want them not to forget when they leave and go about their lives. Remember this thing that Ellen Webster wants you to remember. What's that?
Yeah, it's very simple to me, is that every connection we make, no matter how small, is sending out a ripple into the world. And we cannot have these connections in the world without connecting to ourselves first.
Right, right. Oh, it's so good, Ellen. Thank you. Thank you for your time today and for all the wisdom that you shared and for writing those notes. I probably wouldn't, I don't know that if I would have connected with you if I hadn't writing your notes story. And you have inspired me, of course, to get the book, to read it. And I'm going to be writing notes. Not 10,000, though. Not 10,000.
Yeah, not 10,000, but
So if
however you show up, Susanna, it's making a difference.
it's true. I hear you saying you see me and I see you. Yeah.
Yeah, and what you do matters. And I appreciate it.
And right back at you and to the people listening. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
those people, if they want to reach you, they go to ellenwebster.com to your
Yeah,
website.
just like the dictionary. And I have primarily right now, I am doing a monthly newsletter called Buoyant News. And I'm also writing blogs. My coaching is kind of on pause right now. But I would love to have anybody join the newsletter list because it really is focused on resources and fabulous people, women 60 and above.
Wonderful. And of course, we're going to have this in the show notes, but buoyant, spell buoyant for people. B-U-O-Y-T
Buoyant.
is the name of the newsletter
Buoyant News. Yeah.
and news. And
But
it's
ellenwebster.com is how you get it.
okay. All right. Well, again,
Yeah.
Ellen, thank you.
Thank you, Susanna.
Thank you to everybody listening. We were so happy to have you here with us today. And please make sure you join me in the next month. And I'll have somebody else wonderful for you to meet. Okay. Live buoyantly, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast for real life heroines. Your time and presence mean the world to us. If you're hungry for more inspiration and ready to craft your own heroine story, connect with Susanna outside of the show. Visit SusannaLillard.com to discover her courses and programs designed to empower you on your journey. Until next time, may your days be filled with the courage and strength of a true heroine. Stay inspired.